Zoom and boom, every pony. It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. It is June 18th, 2018 on a Monday, and we are live. Spiky Dash here with you for episode number 19. Gosh, I can't believe that I'm that far in already. Of According to Spiky Dash. It's hard to believe, but it's also been a long time since we were able to do a show. June's been a busy month for me. July is going to be a busy month. I'll talk about that later in the show. I'm getting messages on my phone. I mean, it's been wild. But we're also in the hiatus of season 8, so this is a perfect opportunity to do a live show. So we have a lot to talk about. Maybe not a lot, not as much. Okay, I'll say this: not as much of a loaded show as past, but still a few things to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to share my thoughts on the last 4 episodes of season 8, episodes 10 through 13, before the hiatus. So I will share my thoughts on that. A lot of convention stuff also to talk about in terms of MLP. A lot of recaps of conventions that just recently happened. Just my general, thoughts on those. I'll talk a little bit about Whinny City a little bit. Talk about the recent feedback stream that was done with the results of the survey that was taken and all of that. So we'll do a little bit of thoughts on that. Also talk a little bit about next year for that as well. Talk a little bit, share my thoughts on Everfree Northwest and High Roller and kind of the numbers from those and how it correlates to future years as well. Talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup Final that was recently held. We got a new winner this year. Also talk a little bit about here on a more local level with the summer college baseball team. The Kokomo Jackrabbits have started up for the summer. Talk a little bit about how they're starting off the season. And then in the end, really just talk about what's coming up for me. Big things are coming up here for me next month in July. July always seems to be a big month, but it's bigger this year than past years. Not just because my birthday's in July, but a couple of big things around the corner. And, of course, football is coming up very soon, so we will soon be kicking off. I'm sure we'll be soon kicking off the draft for 2018 very soon. So that means the FFSR is right around the corner. So with the Fantasy Football Stock Report. So big things coming up. But right now it's focused on the here and now and focus on what transpired from the show for over the last 4 episodes 10 through 13 of season 8, rolling down the stretch into the hiatus. Now, starting that off, I will say this, and I tweeted this out on Twitter, and I tweeted out my thoughts on the episodes as they've come and go, and I posted my updated episode rankings, which shout out, I appreciate Brony retweets and Pegasus Sister retweets, always retweeting those as I tweet those out. I really appreciate that to get my thoughts out there. I will say this so far about season 8. I mean, season 7 last year was so good, so awesome. And now it seems to me like season 8, I hate to use this word, but it's been kind of underwhelming. I hate to say that, but it's true. There really have not been a whole lot of elite episodes this season. Now, there have been elite moments in the season, which I'll talk about in one of these episodes. But there really hasn't been like a whole lot of elite episodes. There have been a few. Okay, 2 come to my mind right away, which I'll talk about as I share my rankings on here as well. I'll probably share like my top 5 episodes of the season thus far on here. I'll even probably go through my wish list and see what has happened yet and what hasn't. But it's been a little bit underwhelming. It's when you have such a good season that season 7 was. And then you wonder what direction the show is going to go in after that, you kind of think, okay, where are they going next? And right away with the season 8 premiere, we had the School of Friendship. And we thought, this was going to be, a big, cornerstone, big thing of the season. Well, that really hasn't happened. And it's kind of disappointing. Like, I thought we were going to see, a lot more of the students, the student 6, the young 6, their development throughout the season. And they've had a couple episodes, a couple moments, but really we haven't seen a whole lot of individual development for each of them. Really the only one we saw, and again I'll mention that, you know, I briefly mentioned it here in the recaps here, but was in episode 11 with Smolder and having that moment with Spike, and that's really the only like big individual moment that, you know, we've had. They've had their moments as a group, or, you know, what have you, with some of the lessons like a non-compete clause and other things and what have you, but we really haven't seen any, you know, amazing individual development for any of them outside of that brief Smolder moment with Spike. So I'm hoping, and I think a lot of the fandom feels this way too, from what I read on Equestria Daily, I'm hoping they're setting up for a big finish. Because if you think about it, and I think someone on Equestria Daily posted this, they kind of did that last season, because the big theme of season 7 turned out to be the pillars of Equestria, and, you know, as we saw in the finale, Shadow Play. But they really didn't introduce us to the pillars until when? The second half of the season. You know, the first 13 episodes, there were some nice episodes in there, but they weren't really the meat of the story, if you will. They weren't really the overarching theme of the season. Every season has had this overarching theme to it, and last season turned out to be, or big moment, it tries to be the pillars. So I'm hoping that in the end, the Student 6 and the school are the big story in some way, but maybe they're just setting us up for that. That's why they don't have as many moments right now, because they're setting that up further down the line. So that's what I'm hoping for, because really this first half of the season, outside from a couple episodes, has really not been, I don't want to say bad, because it hasn't been fully bad. There have been a few bad episodes, there have been a few great episodes, and everything else in the middle has just been meh. It's been a meh sandwich. It's just been, you know, just you took a bite out of it and just like, oh, this is good. It could be better, but it's just good. It's not bad. It's just good. There's a few elites. There's like 2 or 3 elite episodes. There's 2 or 3 bad ones, and then the other 7 in the middle were just kind of eh. That's really what most of these were, episodes 10 through 13, aside from the last one, aside from episode 13. And I'm probably going to go into a real big rant regarding episode 13, because I have some real issue with that one. But yeah, so a few really good ones, a few really bad, and everything else just kind of there in the middle, just okay. So when I say underwhelming, I don't mean bad, not fully on the surface bad. There's just a few that in my mind that were bad. Fake it till you make it, bad. Non-compete clause, bad. The mid-season finale, bad. Okay, like those 3 are like my worst of the season so far. I hope there's none worse than those, because on alone, those 3 were pretty bad. But aside from those, it's been okay. I mean, I only say underwhelming because you expect there to be some really good shining episodes, but there were only like 2 or 3 out of the first 13 episodes that I really define as, wow, those were great episodes, you know. And, you know, I'm sure two come to mind right away. I don't even have to guess, but I'll talk about those when I share my rankings. But it's like there's only a few that come to my mind. So this group, mostly meh, and the last one really bad. Okay, that's how I see this. So let's start with episode 10, Breakup Breakdown. This was just, again, okay. I gave it 7 out of 10. Because it was, you know why? Because it was way too dang predictable. This was a way too predictable episode. You know, you could see like these 2 mix-ups coming from a mile away. They didn't make it hard to guess. They didn't make it seem like, oh, there'd be a surprise. Oh, the male's going to get mixed up. Or, oh, you know, Big Mac's going to misunderstand Sugar Bell's comments. You know, you just knew they were going to be misunderstood by Big Mac. You just knew, because that relationship has been too well developed. Sugar Bell and Big Mac, I could never see now being apart. I really couldn't. And even though it came close to happening here, I can never see it because they've taken that relationship so far from when it first happened and hard to say anything. They just, it would be just a shocker for that to happen. And you knew that Derpy was going to screw up, even though she wasn't the one in the mailroom in the back. You knew that with Derpy involved with her actual job as the mail mayor, you knew that was going to be screwed up somehow. You knew it was that Behind the Liberty Sugar Bowl was just going to get completely mixed up, misconstrued, because it's Derpy. And anytime there's Derpy on the screen, we know something's going to happen. Something's going to mess up. And also, it was so off-putting. I'm sorry. I might be the only one in the fandom that feels like this, but this was so off-putting. The CMCs are trying to find secret admirers on Hearts and Hoofs Day. Every pony has some pony special except for us. How old are you kids? You're kids. You don't even worry about that. Yeah, you're kids. Okay, yes, I understand. In school, the concept of Valentine's Day, give Valentines in the classroom. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But you're kids. You don't need to be really thinking about that yet. I mean, come on now. That was just, that was like, some of these, I'm sorry, we've seen a lot of the CMCs this season. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that. We've seen a lot of the CMCs, and it's like some of their moments are just so off-putting or comically bad, or aside from Surf and or Turf, even though they had a moment there where they almost broke up, aside from that episode, they've had some really low moments this season. I mean, they've this one, with Marks for Effort. I mean, this I don't know. I don't want to say. I mean, they're kids. I don't want to say the CMCs are like. I don't want to use this word, but dense. I don't want to think that they're stupid, but it's like, I don't. Although, granted, sometimes the adults are pretty stupid too, like Applejack, Rainbow Dash, non-complete clause. But it's like, I don't want to think that way, but it's like, oh my gosh, they have had some just really rough go this season. Rough go is what I'll say. So that was just major put off for me. And Discord in this episode, major troll levels here. I mean, I understand that Discord has to have chaos in his life in order to exist. We saw that in Discord and Harmony with him coming over to Fluttershy's and trying to be different, and he couldn't because then he would cease to exist. But it's like, but gosh, you don't have to be such a dick. I mean, a troll, really. I mean, he's talking as CMCs are talking about in the bar about how great Big Mac and Sugar Bell are. Discord is like on his side, like, well, there's not going to be a date, or, yeah, but what did she do to deserve you? And then Bill's like, she broke my heart, and it's like, oh my gosh, Discord, shut up. It's like, geez, you really gotta do that, And I get that in the end, it kind of had somewhat of a nice resolution by Discord because he actually, in a weird way, and I don't know if, and honestly, maybe he was planning it, maybe he wasn't. It's really hard to tell. If that Discord was doing that thing with the glass bottle with Sugar Bell's wheel and breaking it and then leading to them reconciling. Was that planned by Discord? We really don't know because Discord never outright says, so we really don't. I guess we can gauge our own assumptions and conjectures from that, but there's really no concrete way of knowing for sure if that really was, if that really was Discord's plan all along, or was it just complete and utter coincidence? He's like, we really don't know because Discord never actually says. So this episode, it's not as bad as Fake It Till You Make It. It's not as bad as Non-Compete Clause. It's not as bad as Mean Six. But it's still thud because it's just too darn predictable. And I hate episodes like that. I want to be like, have like an OMG or shocking reaction or something like, oh, I didn't see that curveball coming. I like episodes like that. That's what I'm more in tune. If I can predict something right away and I called it, it's like, well, you could see that coming from miles away. You could see that from Chicago. I mean, it's like I could see that coming. I knew that was going to happen. Boring. It's like, I knew that. Come on, writers, surprise me. Surprise me at some points. And there have been several moments throughout the season where I've had that jaw-dropping moment of surprise, and I appreciate that. And those are the episodes I usually tend to like. But this one, again, not fully bad, but not elite either. Just in the middle, good. It had its own good moments. For the most part, it was just for me. Now, the following episode 11, Molt Down. Okay, a little bit better here. A little bit, not much, but a little bit better. One of the better episodes of the season. I wouldn't say quite top 5, but I think I had it just outside the top 5. For the obvious reason. And again, spoiler alert if you don't know, Spike gets his wings. We had been waiting for this. Now, this was, and Nate can vouch for this, that was I had an over-the-top reaction to that. Josh Haber, you magnificent bastard, you. You are magnificent, man. I got to give you props for this. Because as you guys can tell, Spike is one of my absolute favorite characters. Hello, it's in my name. He has been ever since the start, ever since, and not just because I like dragons. Yes, it's partly because of that, but he's just so loyal, and he's always been dedicated to, being with the ponies, being there for Twilight, being there for them, and not really experiencing dragon culture much. But we've seen in different instances throughout the series, whether it be Dragon Quest, whether it be Gauntlet of Fire, et cetera, where we've seen these moments where Spike has to embrace being a dragon. And finally, and in this one, we see it all over again. Because I'm genuinely, I was worried so much about Spike this entire episode. Obviously, I didn't know what was happening to him. We don't really know what's going on with him until Smolder comes in and explains, oh, by the way, this is the molt effect. It's the molting. It's normal in all dragons. We don't even know that that's happening until Smolder tells us. So, because to me, I'm thinking he's going through dragon puberty from hell. He's itching the whole episode. He's got these fire burps, and then we find out about the smell. That was just and he's he actually supposedly goes, ugh, I smell terrible. So, and then this thought goes through Spike's mind that, oh, Twilight's going to get rid of him, because in the Dragonlands, when the molts happen, the sibling then gets kicked out, because once they get their wings, it's kind of like their sign of, oh, you're independent now, you're on your own. You've got wings, you don't need our protection anymore. So it's kind of like that independent, literally leaving the nest moment, literally leaving the safety of your parents. But again, I kind of knew that would not happen. Even Twilight would not let that happen. Let Spike would leave on his own. That I didn't think that was going to happen. And then the thing that another thing that got me about that thing. Oh yeah, the smell attracts predators. The thing with the rock, now of course the joke is at first, dragons are scared of rocks. No, rocks, ROCS, rocks. Actually, these big birds. It's wow, okay. And then we actually get to see the rock, and it's wow, okay, this is a pretty nasty bird. And he even goes so far as to take Zecora and take Rarity, and it's wow, this and Spike's trying. He's at least making an effort. He's trying to save them, but with this puberty, with this molt thing going on, it's kind of hard for him to do that. And I don't know. The running gag with Rarity, with the hearing thing, with the phoenix feathers. By the way, that was a nice callback, by the way, to Celestia's pet in the phoenix and all that. But I don't know. I didn't dig that. That was just kind of a weird running gag with the hearing thing, Rarity. But then all of that, as I'm worrying about on the entire episode, that leads to the moment. That leads to eventually the blots go away, the itching stops, and he's just still for a moment, and then it's like this cocoon thing. And I'm like, oh boy, something's got to come out of this. And sure enough, boom, wings. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm freaking at the TV as I'm watching the episode. I'm like, oh, and I'm screaming, I'm freaking out. And it was just one of those cool moments. And then, of course, with that happening, the fandom, of course, I saw a ton of posts on Twitter where the fandom said, oh, I wonder now how Scootaloo must feel, the fact that Spike gets wings before she does. And here we go, I'm going to pull a Mudbriar. Technically, Scootaloo does have wings, they're just not fully developed. But here's the thing with that, though. Like, is it just me, or is it like, is Scootaloo slowly embracing the fact that she, has this, I guess it's disability. I don't like using that term in this instance, but is she kind of coming to grips with it in a way? Like, there really hasn't been, outside of Flight to the Finish, there really hasn't been an episode that focuses on that. And we really, we haven't really had a moment, that puts Scootaloo in that light. So I think slowly she's becoming more accepting of the fact, she might fly in the end, she might not fully get fully developed wings. But what matters is that as long as she feels comfortable in her own fur, in this case, is who she is, then that's fine. And we really, and I was just so taken aback by like the fandom saying, oh, Scootaloo should feel terrible. Like, should she really? I mean, I would think that she would be happy for Spike. I think most of every pony was happy for Spike in that moment. We didn't see the CMC's reaction to it. I think that she would have been thrilled for Spike, and kind of have that same attitude that Rainbow taught her of, whether you fly or not, as long as you give it your all and give it your best with who you are and what you have, then you're fine. And I think she's slowly coming to terms with that. Yeah, there was the moment in Surf Under Turf where she's underwater and she says, okay, this feels like flying, and that was sweet, and that was really cool. But is that really a sign of the crack starting to show? Is that really a sign of, oh, I really want to have fully developed wings like every pony else? Is that a sign of that? I don't know. It may be, but on the surface, no pun intended, it might not be fully. So, we've only caught glimpses of that. So I don't really know what to gauge from that. I think the fandom was a little bit overreacting there. I don't think Scootaloo would be upset with Spike at all. I genuinely think that that she would be happy for him. But again, time will tell where they're going to direct with the rest of the season and what it has in store for us. And who knows? We might, there might still be. There's a lot more to Scootaloo than we even know. I mean, there's so many things about the CMCs I think that we really don't know. We've delved into a little bit about Sweetie Belle with Forever Philly. We've gone a little bit about Apple Bloom with Where the Apple Lies. We've gotten a couple little things with each of them, but really with Scoots, we haven't really delved into her backstory very much. And and that was on my wish list. I said Scootaloo's backstory has to be addressed at some point. You would think it would have to be addressed before the Friendship with Magic ends. I hope that that's the case, because I really want to see where it leads, where what are they going to do for her character. So I'm really intrigued to see what's to come with her. So, but the bottom line with Spike, I mean, with him getting wings, we can't blame Larson on this one, guys. We can't do it. Larson gave Twilight wings, Haber gave Spike wings. So, Haber, it's his fault. And my other minor concern, but maybe I'll find a way to do it at some point. I'm like, gee, how am I going to put wings on my Spike plush now? That was a minor thought in my head, but I'm sure you can find a way to do it. So the payoff at the end saved the episode. And again, Smolder shines in this episode. And guys, I've mentioned on here my rankings of Student 6. I love Smolder. And again, it's partially because I like dragons, but I love her as a character. I love the fact that she got kind of this spotlight moment in the episode to share her thoughts with Spike and tell him about the molting. That was very cool. But for the most part, it was feeling bad for Spike and Rarity because they're dealing with these issues they have. And it took 8 seasons for Spike to finally experience his moment. 8 seasons. That is crazy. Good episode, but again, not an elite episode. So, and then this next week was the same case again with Marks for Effort. Again, this to me is like, oh, by the way, I gave Molt Down 7.5 out of 10. So again, good episode, not elite, one of the better ones of the season, but not the top tier. Marks for Effort was the same way, 7 out of 10 stars. There was. Again, the CMCs at one of their lowest points I've ever seen them. The links that they go to, the rough start of this episode, trying to get into Twilight's School of Friendship. Like, it was painful to watch. Like, it was so painful. And like I said, I've seen the CMCs at some pretty low points with Hard to Say Anything and with Surf Under Turf this season. But this was just embarrassing, the lengths they went to try to get into the school, to be students there. Makes you wonder how Cheer Lee must have felt. I mean, this is like, it's like, that was just had to have been hard on her. And the fact that, for gosh sakes, Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie almost fell for their horrendous acting, almost as bad as Celestia's, for gosh sakes. It was just, that was just painful. That in the end they're like, we're an awesome team, and they hug, and Pinkie's like, aha, you are friends after all. I'm like, Pinkie, you couldn't see through the horrible acting? Fluttershy, really? I mean, it's like, you couldn't tell that they were just acting? Wow. Okay. But then we have the encounter with probably right now one of the most talked about characters in the fandom. We're talking about Cozy Glow. And I'm in agreement with most of the fandom here. Something doesn't seem right with this one. It just seems so uncoincidental for her to just randomly show up crying outside the CMC clubhouse all of a sudden. That at first seemed odd. But again, it's not that, the CMCs were in the wrong here. They were doing right. They were genuinely teaching about friendship. They were trying to teach her the elements of harmony, study for this friendship test. They were actually really being true friendship tutors, which they get to be later in the episode in the end. But it's like, but I just had a feeling something wasn't right. Like her facial expressions, her act, her that one moment, and people keep keying this on the fandom, that one moment where she's looking at the element, the Twilight's element of magic, and that look in her eyes, like that kind of that, ooh, this is something, she's like, ugh. And then someone else pointed out when she was trying to first guess Twilight's element, she said control, and it's like, ooh, that's interesting. So, but I just had a feeling that something wasn't right. So, they tutor up to the friendship test, and that, looks like it's going to go perfectly. And then, bam, just what I was hoping for. Curveball. Bam. Twilight is upset with the Cutie Mark Crusaders and needs to see them right away because Cozy Glow failed her test. And when you're thinking to yourselves, how? How could she have failed her friendship test when the CMCs looked like they were teaching her so well? How could that possibly happen? Now, Twilight, of course, is thinking that it's all a prank because she thinks that the Crusaders taught her the wrong things as a way to try to get into the school themselves, or not really that, but try to, I guess, because the fact they were angry with the main six because no one would let them in the school. So they thought that it was all a setup, and, they were trying to get revenge, if you will. But then I think the cool moment in the episode, and the one that created a lot of memes, because you guys know the face that Starlight makes, that I see face, that one. It's all over Twitter, by the way. It's a very interactive moment. We get to see Starlight in her guidance counselor role, something we hadn't seen all season long up to this point. So we get to see her in her office, and we have this moment between Cozy Glow and Starlight, which is really, really cool. And Cozy Glow admits to Starlight she failed the test on purpose. She hurt her friends on purpose because she wanted to help the CMCs get into the school so they could all be in class together. And now, so I guess from that perspective, Cozy was just trying to help them out and look out for them more so than for herself. So I guess in that sense, okay. But then Starlight goes, "That's devious." Kind of flashes back to her past for a minute. There, she's like, "I see," with that Coco, and it's like that was just. I died on that part. After everyone in the fandom died because that was just hilarious. So yeah, Starlight's expressions in this episode are glorious. But so Cozy admits her mistake, and and the ending again. The ending saves the episode, where eventually all the main six. Starlight gets the CMCs out of Cheerilee's class, where apparently they're cleaning up with the wonders of gum. I mean, I don't know. They're cleaning up the class, and Starlight takes him back to the friendship school. All the main six then come in. It's kind of like this. You're on trial, seeing this darkness, and it's like, and Scootaloo goes, "We didn't do it, I swear. I didn't do anything wrong, I swear." And Twilight goes, "Well, I know that now because Starlight talked to her, and Cozy Glow admits her mistake of failing on purpose." But in the end, the Crusaders are actually given honorary diplomas, and they're made official tutors of the school, thanks to that hard work. So once they actually, saw what they were really trying to do, and then Cozy Glow admitting her error and her faults, they find a place at the school after all. And then I love Twilight's quote at the end of Starlight. It said, "That's why this school needs you as its guidance counselor." And that smile from Starlight, warmed my heart. I love that. I just love how far Starlight has grown. So again, good episode. Not great because of the rough start. The ending, though, saves it again. But I still have my doubts about Cozy Glow. And I think a lot of the fandom does. And actually, when I first saw the teaser preview for the mid-season finale, the Mean Six, I thought, well, okay, so if Chrysalis is coming back for her revenge, and there's the Mean Six, and there's like maybe she's corrupted, maybe there's still some changelings lurking or changeling spies lurking around, or they've been gathering intel this whole time. And there's a few others that I thought of. So I wrote a little disclaimer through all of this, through this episode. It was all but confirmed that Chrysalis was coming back for revenge, because remember she mentioned that to Starlight in the season 6 finale. So because of that, because it's episode title of the Mean Six, I thought, okay, well there might be 6 spies floating around that were still loyal to her. And they've converted to gathering intel the whole time. So I thought maybe, some of the characters we already saw in the season could potentially take on that role and play, that's a maybe. I had 2 that were kind of obvious choices that were kind of shady. 1 that was a maybe based on a picture I saw in Equestria Daily. And 3 really that were just kind of off the wall out there. I mean, Cozy Glow is the obvious choice. I thought, come on, she's an obvious choice. She could potentially be part of Chrysalis's army. Sambar, I'm sorry. There's just something about him, okay? He's been acting weird all season long. We never saw his parents in the premiere. Does any pony still bring this up? We never saw Sambar's parents on Friends and Family Day. Is that not weird to anybody? I still think it's weird. This one to me was just a little bit too obvious that maybe he might be up to something. The maybe was Starlight, but I knew it was a stretch because there was a picture actually, and I guess it turned out to be false. There was of the teaser trailer, there was a picture on Equestria Daily of Starlight with her old hair design. And I'm thinking, oh, wait, she's not going to turn back already now, is she? But again, that wouldn't make sense because why would that be the case when Chrysalis said she wanted revenge on Starlight? So that wouldn't make sense. Something didn't add up. And the three I had that were kind of out there, that male alicorn that we saw in Las Pegasus, remember him? Never seen him again since or even addressed it. Just something didn't fly right with him. Chancellor Naysay was kind of out there. That's a bit of a stretch, but I think he's probably going to be saved for the season finale. And then, someone totally unexpected out there, say, Mudbriar or Jackpot. I wouldn't think they'd be changeling spies, but then again, we've seen crazier on this show. So that was my theory. But the opening scene threw my theory out the window, literally, in the opening moments. There's this photo pony that apparently is coming in to take pictures of them for a magazine, for the school, something like that. And she actually not only does that, she's plucking hairs out of them as well. And I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of odd. And she then takes the photos, and P's like, wait, you got to take a picture of Starlight too. And she goes, okay. So you can tell she's not interested in Starlight at all for this. So and then she comes back with that green glow, kind of gives it away. And yep, it's Chrysalis. So and right away I'm cursed at the TV. Oh, you son of a, I'm effing, I'm cursing the TV. I knew it was you son of a gun. And actually, they teased this at the closing ceremonies of Whinny City last year. They showed this intro actually in the open. So it was a sneak peek at season 8. So I was like, ooh, okay, I remember this now. So that was interesting. But as the episode goes on, you just get the feeling this is going to hilariously backfire on her somehow because the mean six, the clones, are being mean to each other. So they're kind of in a way, stupid. They don't have the intelligence of the main six, obviously. And having the camp out next to the Tree of Harmony. What could possibly go wrong there, right? But I got to say, of the clones, Evil Twilight is really evil. She wanted to actually turn her back on Chrysalis. She wanted to go against the boss. So and then again, as I watch the episode, the vibe is okay. The mean ones are going to run into the real ones, and there's going to be this big mix-up. And it's the real ones can't even tell the difference from the mean ones at all. So really, they don't know what's going on. They don't know that Chrysalis is back. They don't know that this has all happened. They have no idea about any of this. You could have just called this episode Obliviousness because that's really what this whole episode was. This was, Discovery Family and Hasbro are hyping this up. It's the mid-season finale, and Chrysalis is back. And it turns out to be an absolute clunker. This was... I don't know. It's just, and Evil Twilight was bad, and Mean Rarity was crazy. She being this freaking hoarder, and Mean Fluttershy was just awful. It reminded me of episode 4 again, and also the thing with Starlight being a horrible camper for the first time. That was again, it's kind of like with the CMCs. These mix-ups were almost threatening to tear the main group apart. It was just so crazy. And then Evil Twilight almost gets busted because she says my plan, but then Chrysalis comes in, and then she's like, wait a minute, you need me because I know where the elements of harmony are, Chrysalis. So she's like, you need me. And that was just sort of creepy. And then finally, some pony noticed Applejack was the first pony to actually notice anything. She's like, well, something ain't right. So she finally noticed. And it was just every pony getting mad at each other. Also, the fact that after the big fight happened, when Twilight was trying to defuse everything, the resolution seemed kind of rushed. Like, it was just, I just want to stop fighting. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry. For what? For what? I mean, it's like, just, I don't know. And then the ending, and then the fooked up ending. What the fook? I mean, the ending. The ending. Yeah, like okay, I'll talk like this. The ending makes me look like okay. I'm effed up Gilbert Gottfried because the ending made me look like this because what the hell happened with that ending? I mean, good grief. Okay, we know that the mean six were gonna turn on Queen Chrysalis at some point, and we knew that the tree all acting weird and the elements turning black and doing something funky with that. I have no idea what was going on there. I have no idea. And then, and the tree's doing all this, and Twilight's shooting her beam at Chrysalis, and Chrysalis is shooting her beam back at her, but evil Twilight's actually starting to win, and then the tree starts doing this weird thing and pulls them all in, and then the next thing you know, the mean six are like shrinking and constricting and junk, and evil Twilight's like, you imbeciles, you ruined everything. How did they ruin it? All they were doing were kicking and hitting the tree. I don't know what that has to do with anything. It's like, and then what happens then is it turns them back into blocks of wood. What the hell? What happened there? I have no idea. That started to hurt my mouth. But it's like it just made me go fucking nuts, like, and I'm just staring at the TV going, what? I mean, but remember in the opening monologue where Chrysalis said, that means you get to use them too. She thought they could use the elements of harmony, but apparently they can't because it makes them die. And then they got died. I mean, that's what happened. It's like, you say that they're going to work and then die. I mean, it's like how does that line up? Like, I'm going. I mean, it's like I don't understand what's going on. But then Chrysalis still has her thing at the end. Oh, servants always fail you in the end. But just wait, Starlight. I'll still have my revenge. I'll still have it at some point. I don't know how I'm going to do it now because that obviously failed. But I'll find some way. I'll get you, my pretty. It's like, come on now. I mean, that if you can't even get that to work, what possibly can you come up with? And again, maybe they're setting that up later in the season. I don't know. But this was just, I even put here on the bottom, literally in caps, I don't know what to bucking say. Literally, that was my reaction because I was practically freaking speechless. And then Nate tagged on here just for fun. And to end the episode, you see Queen Chrysalis's ass as she flies away in defeat. I mean, what can you bucking say? What the hell? This is the weirdest mid-season finale ever. It is the least favorite episode of the season. I only gave it 3 out of 10 stars. I don't even know why I gave it 3. Probably because I didn't want to really give it a 0. But probably just because, okay, there were a few good moments. The resolution, okay. And the retreat, okay. But aside from that, what the hell? I didn't think one could ever be worse than Fake It Till You Make It, but this takes the cake and the pie. Beginning, predictable. The middle, predictable. And the end, so dang confusing and never explained. And it contradicts what even Chrysalis said herself. There's not much I can say. It was disappointment and a half. Blunder Central is what I called it. We went into the hiatus with a whimper and a confused look on my face. Like, I just got hit by a Mack truck. What the hell? Literally, like, it's like, I feel sick. Did anybody understand what happened in that episode? Did anyone understand the bucked up ending? Because I didn't. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the last 4 episodes. Just really, really farking weird. So, as I said, there only were a few really good episodes this season. And the thing of it is, I'd say, so I'll share my top 5. So I'll say, and again, I mentioned Mold Down was just outside the top 5. Mold Down came in at number 6 on my list at 7.5. So the 3 worst, in my opinion, Mean 6, Fake It Till You Make It, Not Compete Close. Those 3 were pretty bad. Okay, those 3 were like royally bad. I had Mod Couple at 10, and only because the fact that Mudbriar, just again, odd character. Not that he's not bad for Maud, he's perfect for Maud, but just odd character, kind of odd episode. Breakup Breakdown I had at 9. The first part of the premiere, School Days, the first part, I only gave 7 stars. I had it at number 8, only because I despise Chancellor Naysay. Then I have Marks for Effort at 7. Mold Down then right there at 6. So top 5 episodes so far for me of the first half. Number 5, Parrot Map. Obviously, love when Starlight and Sunburst share the screen together. And I love the fact that we get to see their parents and get to see them on this mission together. Love that episode. Love that. 4, Granny's Gone Wild. Again, great episode. Las Pegasus with Rainbow Dash and the grannies, and just a overwhelming, just a fun episode. Fun episode in general and fun storyline. I loved it. Number 3, the second part of the premiere, School Days Part 2, when everything gets resolved and and the school friendship gets set up, and then the Friendship Always Wins song again, which is great. That one I gave 8.5 stars. Love that episode. So love that. Love seeing more of the students as time goes on. But the top 2 in my mind of the season, I think far and away, I think most of the fandom agrees. Surf and or Turf number 2 with the CMCs and the Hippogriffs, Terramar, and and tackling that topic of separation, divorce, that kind of thing. Great episode all around. But number 1 is Horseplay. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. That was the only episode of the season I've already given 10 out of 10 stars because it was perfect in every aspect. It was absolutely perfect. I could not get enough. Celestia's acting, Twilight freaking out. I mean, everything going the way that it was. It was just the moment at the end with Twilight and Celestia. It was just perfect in every single aspect. So that is how I have the episodes thus far. So I look forward to the rest of the season. I look forward to seeing what else is to come. What are they setting up for in the second half of the season? We don't know how long the hiatus is going to be. That's kind of the only thing that's unless an announcement comes out from Hasbro or Discovery Family, we don't know how long the hiatus is. Sometimes it's been a month. Sometimes it's been 2 months. Sometimes it's only been, I think season 5 is almost 3 months long. So we don't know how long this hiatus is going to be. So we'll just have to wait and see until there's an official announcement from either Hasbro or Discovery Family when the hiatus is going to end. So lots to look forward to, but guys, in my opinion, this season ended, the mid-season ended on a big whimper and confusion, and I'm hoping that there's big things to come in the second half, like season 7, because there really wasn't a whole lot of shining moments in the first half of the season. A few, but not really a lot. All right, so real quick, I know that took up a lot of time. It took 50 minutes alone, but hopefully I'll be quick on these last few things. Real quick, talk a little bit about Whinny City. The feedback stream was recently held on that based on the survey responses of all those who took part in the survey after Whinny City 18 this year. From what I could gather from what Charlie and everyone else mentioned on the stream, it looked like a lot of the things were really good. The big thing, the big takeaway that I got was I think a lot of people were disappointed in either the, and I made mention of this myself, was the vendor hall. Some people didn't think that there was enough variety in the vendor hall, and I somewhat agree with that. You know, I think at Whinny City 17, I think there was a lot. Maybe it was just my perception of it. I think there was a lot more at the vendor hall at Whinny City 17 than there was in 18. Not that I didn't buy anything at 18, sure I did. But I didn't feel like there was really, you know, a lot that I was really interested in buying. So I think that, you know, I think a lot of people mentioned that in the survey. Another thing was the sponsor lounge. I think people had brought up the fact that, you know, and I can attest that because Nate, Sarah, and I spent some time up in the sponsor lounge during the con, and we were kind of disappointed in the lack of the option. Not that they're, you know, they had your generic stuff, they had your, you know, your sodas and your chips and your little things and what have you. But I think as sponsors, we were expecting maybe a little bit more, a little bit wider selection of things up there than what we actually got. So I think some people made mention of that as well. You know, and Charlie, when that was brought up, he said, well, if that's something, like if something goes on, you know, during the con that can be fixed during the con, mention it. Like, you know, if you're not satisfied with the sponsor lounge during the con, mention it, and then we can make grocery runs so we can fix that. You know, there's some things, and there's some things that can't be fixed, like, you know, the fact that, you know, at the karaoke convention, the karaoke panel during the late night, I think it was either Friday or Saturday night, like, I didn't get a chance to sing because, you know, we ran out of time because there was technical difficulties in the first 20 minutes of the panel. They couldn't get it going, and the Hyatt wouldn't let us, you know, go past midnight, which was the scheduled time. So, which is understandable. You know, you want to be respectful to the guests of the hotel. But, you know, some things, you know, you can't fix during the con. But I think a lot of the things, I'd say the vast majority of things, you probably can if you mention it to a staff member or, you know, or a convention member. So, so that was to me the big things that I got out of it. And I think for the most part, I think a lot of people saw it as a success. I certainly did. And not just because I was a Pegasus sponsor, not just because I got to experience the perks of that level this year, even though it was not, you know, again, not easy to attain that level with all the money I had to save up and make that happen. You know, it was worth it. Everything that I got out of it was completely worth it. And the guests were great. The panels that I went to were amazing. The choices that I made, I think I planned it out pretty well. The only thing I regret was I did not plan well for breaks in between because there was just so much to choose from. And I will do better on that. I did promise Nate and Sarah I would do that, and I will hold myself to that. In fact, maybe the next one we go to, we can all just sit down together and plan things out, kind of as a group, as a team together. So yeah, my big takeaway, I was completely satisfied, especially with the fact that, the numbers in attendance keep going up. The money that we raised for charity was outstanding, raising $15,000 for Generation Against Bullying, which was outstanding. I was thrilled with that. Again, it's just a testament to how amazing this fandom is, and just the job that we do to enjoy something that we love and just to come together and make that happen was just absolutely awesome. So I was very satisfied. I am, of course, very much looking forward to Whinny City next year, which has been announced. The 4th year of Whinny City 19, has been announced for April 5th through the 7th next year in 2019. So it's going back to being in early April. So it's gone now from being in late March to April in 16. Then it went to mid-March this year, 13th through the 15th. Now this year it's going back to be April 5th to the 7th, still at the Hyatt Regency Schaumburg, same location it has been since its inception. So looking forward to that as always. Of course, can we see what surprise is going to be in store this time around? So what the theme's going to be, what guests are going to come, all that I'm sure will be coming up in due time. I'm sure after Cider Fest is over in October. Because I'm sure Charlie's focusing on that right now. But again, looking forward to that and cannot wait to see what's in store for Whinny City 19. Let's talk about some other cons that took place recently that are continuing to be rousing successes or just now starting a new wave of success. First, let's talk about Everfree Northwest. Everfree is one of the bigger cons out there. It always, it has been ever since its inception. It is basically, aside from BabsCon in San Francisco, it is like the marquee convention in the West. I mean, High Roller now just starting in Vegas also I'll make a case for that as well. But Everfree has been the gold standard, if you will, on the West Coast for some time. And the DoubleTree there being the host, from what I've read, from what I've seen, has done an outstanding job over the years catering to the Brony fandom. And it's just been an outstanding host. And it was another rousing success this year. The numbers that were posted, about 2,700 the attendance this year. That is outstanding. I think that pretty much the second most attended Brony convention outside of BronyCon in Baltimore, which draws 6,000 plus every year. That is great for Everfree. I'm so glad that they put up those kinds of numbers. And they raised $23,000 for charity this year, which is outstanding. Great job to every pony there who did that. That is absolutely amazing. Kudos to all of you. Kudos again to the guests of honor that were there, especially again a shout out to Bill Newton, who did the fundraiser for Anna, the girl that was being bullied, that I got to be a small part of to help get her experience awesome. Bill, I hope she had an outstanding time. I hope she had a weekend that she never forgot. I hope that it was worthwhile. It was worthwhile for her. But they had a great guest of honor group this year that made it worthwhile. They had Ashley Ball, who does not come to conventions very often, was at Everfree this year. So that was surprising to see. So it was nice to see her at Everfree, to see that she went to Everfree this year. Andrea Lemon was there. I met her at Whinny City earlier this year. So she was there. Bill Newton was there. Ingrid Nilsson, the voice of the Pie Sisters. Of course, you guys know Ashley is the voice of Rainbow Dash and Applejack. Actually, Andrea Lemon's the voice of Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. Bill Newton voices Bright Macintosh, Pharynx, Pony of Shadows, Stygian. So he does great work. Ingrid Nilsson, of course, the Pie Sisters. But it was the first con experience for Sarah Edmondson, who voices Wendy Whistles, Rainbow Dash's mom, and Jason DeLine, who voices Bo Hothoof, Rainbow Dash's dad. So very cool that they were there. Brenda Critchlow, the voice of Zecora, was there. GM Barrow, Josh Haber, the writer that gave Spike his wings, was also there. So great lineup for Everfree. I'm sure every pony enjoyed that. And I had a lot of people recommending to me that if I could find a way to some point travel and get to Everfree, and that's a long way for me. Being here in Indiana, Seattle is a long way for me. I'd probably have to fly out there just to make that happen, because that would be a very long drive. But they said if I ever found a way to make that happen, to go to Everfree at some point. So I appreciate that. I actually got a buddy on Twitter that I follow that lives in Seattle, fellow mascot fan, that said, man, you got it. If you can get out here to Everfree, it's an amazing experience. So who knows? Maybe at some point, if it's in the cards, it's in the cards. But from what I've heard and seen, Everfree is a great experience, and I'm proud of everyone in the fandom that had a great time at Everfree. Same with High Roller. High Roller in Vegas apparently also had a great successful debut, and so much so that it is returning again next year. So kudos to the staff there again. Charlie, who's vice chairing that, kudos to you again for another great startup con. I mean, Charlie's been killing it now with the Cider Fest in Milwaukee, with Whinny City in Schaumburg, with now High Roller. he's now wondering where he's going to take his next convention idea to. So he's still running with coming up with ideas in his mind. But kudos to the staff at High Roller. 431 people attended, so that's not a bad number for a first-time con. I'm pretty sure that's probably about what Whinny City had in its first year too. So, yeah. So 431, not a bad number at all. They raised over $3,000 for charity. So again, a nice start there. And it will return again next year. So awesome to the staff of High Roller. Congrats to you guys. Well done, and I look forward to seeing what's to come in your future years as well. All right, so that's really it. Pony-wise, real quick, Stanley Cup Final just wrapped up earlier this month. Got to say congrats to the Washington Capitals on their first ever Stanley Cup title in franchise history. Huge for the city of Washington. They've been partying for many days. Alex Ovechkin, you finally got yours. The White Russian with no cup meme now is finally dead. It died, just like the mean six. It died. It died. So that's dead. I was rooting for Vegas in the final. I was hoping for the history. I was hoping, maybe the league really wanted them to win in their first season, the conspiracy aspect of it. Maybe, they're wanting the Vegas to win in their first year, but didn't happen. Plus the reason I was rooting for Vegas over Washington, Vegas only beat one of my teams in the run of the playoffs, which was the San Jose Sharks, and kind of in a controversial way too. Like because Vegas beat the Sharks in 5 games, 4-1, but then they played a 6th game for some reason. And I'm like, why are they playing a 6th game? It doesn't make any sense. I think Vegas looked better. I don't know. And then Vegas won that game like 3-0. So Vegas is the first team apparently ever to win an NHL series 5-1. I don't know. I found that weird. So that was weird. But Washington took out 2 of my teams. They took out Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. So I had more reason to root for Vegas than Washington. And actually, I did kind of warm up a little bit to Vegas's mascot. At first, I was not a fan of Chance. I was not a fan of him because he wasn't a Golden Knight. The Knight was kind of a secondary character. He wasn't the main draw. He'd only got to be at the pregame show. And I'm like, well, that's a crock. And what the heck is Chance anyway? Well, actually, remember that fan I mentioned from Seattle I talked about? Well, he tweeted at me, well, okay, Chance is a Gila monster. I'm like, what the heck's a Gila monster? So I did a little research, and actually they are pretty cool creatures. So I thought, okay, it makes sense. Desert, Vegas, okay, I guess that makes sense. So more kid friendly, okay, than a Knight, okay, I guess that makes sense. So at the end of the day, I guess I followed Chance on Twitter, so I was more appreciative of him. And you know what? The nice thing is, it's nice to see some actual parity in the Stanley Cup Final for once. It's nice to see 2 different teams that we never saw before here. I mean, yeah, for me, it was great to see the Penguins in the last 2 years. I'm a Penguins fan. They're awesome. It was great to see. But parity is a good thing. I'm getting sick and tired of seeing the same 2 teams in the NBA. 4 straight years now. Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs, Warriors, Cavs. And it's like 4 straight freaking years, and Golden State's won 3 out of the 4. Come on now. Give us something different. Give us a freaking parity. And then the Patriots dominating the NFL. They lost this year to the Eagles. And for gosh sakes, baseball has more parity than those leagues does because the Astros won last year. Baseball. Hopefully for the NHL, though, this is the start of some variety. This is the start of something different, especially the fact that more great younger players and younger talent are coming into the league. So we'll see how that goes. In terms of hockey, related news here. The Fort Wayne Komets today made it official that they are ending their affiliation with the Arizona Coyotes and the Tucson Roadrunners. So no more affiliate at the moment for the Komets. So now we search for their 4th different affiliate over the last few years. They've tried Anaheim, Colorado, and now Arizona, and hasn't worked out in the end. So, and currently there are 7 NHL teams that do not have an ECHL affiliate. Colorado is one of them, but Columbus is also looking. The Florida Panthers, the Nashville Predators, which would be awesome if Fort Wayne affiliated with them. Who else? I think there's one more. The Ottawa Senators. The Tampa Bay Lightning actually are looking for an ACHL affiliate. So if Lightning and Comets are paired up, first off, I would faint, and then I would scream like a little girl and run around this house. Like that's what I would do. So they're looking, and also the Golden Knights are looking for an affiliate because their affiliate was the Quad City Mallards, but they folded after the season. So now the Golden Knights looking for a new ECHL affiliate. So 7 teams need an affiliate. So we'll see if the Comets will pair up with one of them, see what happens down the road. Speaking of baseball, though, the Kokomo Jackrabbits are back in action for the Prospect League. The Summer Collegiate Woods baseball season is back. Kokomo, this is their 4th year of existence, I believe. They have made 1 playoff appearance of the last 4 seasons. That was 2 years ago. They lost in the first round to West Virginia, 2 games to none, who eventually won the Prospect League title that year. But Kokomo is back this year. Gary McClure still the head manager. Nate and I have already been to 1 game this season. We saw them take on the newest team in the league, the Hannibal Hoots. I heard that right, Hoots. Weird name. But unfortunately, Kokomo lost that night, 7-3. Relief pitching was bad. Defense let us down a bit. That's defense kind of Kokomo's forte, like especially this year. They don't give out a whole lot of runs. But the problem with Kokomo, I think, always has been that if their offense isn't putting out scoring opportunities, if they're not getting in scoring positions, then Kokomo can't come back. They're not a comeback team. So it's kind of difficult for them to generate offense if they don't have it. So very, very tough. But currently, Kokomo is off to a decent start. The Jackrabbits coming in tonight have an 8-6 record. That's good for 3rd right now in the East behind West Virginia and Chillicothe, who have been outstanding this season. West Virginia, I think, is 12-4, and I think Chillicothe is like 10-6. So they both been very, very good this year. The starting pitching, again, very, very solid, but that relief pitching, I think right now it seems to be kind of a bugaboo for Kokomo a bit. And unless the offense gets going, they're not a comeback team. You need to jump on the opposition early and get plenty of opportunities to score in order to win these games. They have kind of this nice variety, this nice blend of power hitters, guys that can make solid contact with the ball. But again, defense is the strong point here. They gotta have that balance. So the defense got to have that strong night, but the offense got to put out a lot of runs in order to win these games. So hopefully that continues to be the trend throughout the season. The biggest thing is with Kokomo recently, they've done well in the first half of the season. And then by the time the second half comes around, they lose a lot of their good players and they fall apart. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time around. If they get off to a good start this time in a playoff position, then hopefully that'll hold the rest of the season. So we'll see what happens there. That's not thunder. I better check. I don't know if that...
You and I are coming on SportsCenter talking about really another World Cup and England can't get a result.
Oh, there's a little cell drifting to the north a little bit. Okay, well maybe it is, but regardless. So to quickly finish up, what is next for me this summer? What's next coming up? Well, the rest of this month is going to be fairly quiet. But I will say earlier this month, Summer Games in Terre Haute, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty sweet. It was a great experience. Nate won 2 silver medals in cycling. He lost by 1 second and 3 seconds. My buddy Matt won 3 golds and a silver. Or not a silver, 3 golds and had a 4th place, I believe. But July is a big month coming up for me. July 7th, I'm going to a friend's wedding, which is really cool. He gets to be one of his groomsmen. July 12th in Carmel, going back to the Mascots and PV football game, which will be awesome. And then, of course, the 13th is my 32nd birthday, so very much looking forward to that. But also, it's a big month for the fandom. TrotCon is coming up in Columbus the weekend of July 20th to the 22nd. And then BronyCon will be the following weekend in Baltimore, the 27th to the 29th. And again, as always, fantasy football will be starting up soon with the draft coming up very soon, I'm sure. So you guys will want to stay tuned for the fantasy football stock reports as well. All right, so that's pretty much all I got, guys. Thank you again, as always, for tuning in, for your views, for subscribing. I appreciate that very, very much. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to share your thoughts on the episodes from earlier this season, what were your favorites or not so much favorites, feel free to share them down below. Thank you again for tuning in. And next video possibly will be early July. That's what I'll be shooting for. We'll see in due time. But until then, I will see you for episode 20. Will be the next episode, guys, of the show. That'll be crazy. Episode 20. Hard to believe it's been this far already. But thank you again for tuning in. And hopefully the rest, however long, if the hiatus is still going on, we'll see how long that takes. But until the next episode in early July, Spiky Dash signing off. See you next time.